Good morning, Minnesota DFLers, and welcome to the DFL Daily. Richard Carlbaum here, chair of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. Hope you're doing well. We're with you each and every morning, Monday through Friday at 10:45 to make sure that you have the message, the action, the tool to be empowered. A couple of things I want to highlight this morning before we get started. First off, tonight at 5:30 p.m., Peter McKenzie is leading an effort to launch a Minnesota chapter of Common Defense. Common Defense is a movement of veterans fighting for democracy in all of our communities. We're going to drop a link in the chat for that Google Meet. If you can join, please do so. If you know a veteran who wants to join this effort, please encourage them. This is a really important conversation, and I'm excited that Peter McKenzie is helping to form the Minnesota chapter of this group. Tomorrow, the Common Good Coffee Club is at 10 a.m. in Scandia. And then, of course, this weekend, there are a bunch of 4th of July parades. On the 3rd, there's parades in Nisswa and Albert Lea. Jake Johnson will be in Albert Lea. And then on the 4th of July, there's the Forest Lake Parade, St. Joseph's Parade, the Brainerd Parade, Crosby's Parade, Edina Parade, the Blooming Prairie Parade, the Stewartville Parade, the St. Peter Parade, Pequot Lakes, and Chanhassen. Listen, I've done up to 5 parades on a July 4th, on July 4th in the past. I'm not going to do 5 this weekend, but I will be at a couple. Thank you for attending, showing up, and doing everything you can to bring somebody with you so that they participate and and get involved in our wonderful DFL party. All of these events can be found at dfl.org/events. Get out, get involved, and as I said, bring somebody new with you. Okay, let's get into the topic today. A year ago this week, Donald Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill. He stood in the Rose Garden, which he has already cemented over, smiled for the cameras, and called it a gift to the American people. It wasn't a gift. It was absolutely a betrayal. And Brad Finstad, Pete Stauber, Tom Emmer, and Michelle Fischbach all voted for it. Today, on the 1-year anniversary, we're going to talk about exactly what the big, beautiful betrayal of a bill has cost us. We've already seen the damage, and the damage is still coming. A lot of this was backloaded to happen after the 2026 election. We spent the last 12 months fighting back, and we're going to continue that fight through November. Let's start with what this is really about, because it's bigger than any one bill. The American promise has always been about opening doors. It's about making sure people have opportunities to get a good public education, earn an honest living, buy a home, raise a family, start a business, and create a future for the people they love. That promise is still alive in Minnesota. Here, neighbors help neighbors. Small businesses grow. Families invest in their kids and in their communities. We share that promise and are creating our futures together every single day. But what happens when Republicans, including Donald Trump, and then Lisa Damuth or Kendall Qualls or Mike Lindell, govern for their billionaire friends, the ultra wealthy, instead of the American people, instead of Minnesotans? Millions of Americans lose their health care, lose access to food, and pay more for housing. Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act is expected to leave 10 million more Americans uninsured, cutting the Affordable Care Act tax credits alone increased the number of uninsured Americans by over 4 million people. Here in Minnesota, that shows up on a bill in your mailbox. The premium price of the average marketplace health plan has risen over $60 every month. It's because of this bill. That happened in just a single year after the passage of this horrible piece of legislation. It is increasing your costs. It's not about whether or not your neighbor loses health insurance. It's actually increasing your costs. And again, all 4 Republican members of Congress voted proudly for this bill. For a lot of Minnesotans, it's even worse than that average. Some people are seeing up to tenfold increase in their annual premiums from roughly $900 a year to $9,000 a year. Can you imagine that? Deductibles are on the rise and denials of coverage are up too. That's a Minnesota, that amount of money is a Minnesota family choosing between seeing the doctor or paying their mortgage payment because Washington Republicans decided tax breaks for the ultra wealthy mattered more than your health care. Here's what should scare you even more. A lot of the worst of this bill hasn't even hit yet. The Medicaid work reporting requirements, the SNAP cost shifting onto states, the deeper insurance losses, those phase in over the next few years. Republicans front-loaded the tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy and backloaded the pain for everybody else, so that by the time families fully feel it, The midterms will have passed, and they're hoping you'll have forgotten who did this to you in the first place. But we're not going to let that happen. That's why we're doing this episode. 1 year later, we remember. We will not forget. And if you want to understand exactly who Donald Trump is fighting for, look at what happened just last week. Congress did something rare. Democrats and Republicans came together and passed the largest housing affordability bill in decades, the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. It passed the House 358 to 32, and it passed the Senate 85 to 5. We're talking about real bipartisan, broadly popular legislation to bring down housing costs, crack down on Wall Street landlords buying up single-family homes, and making it easier to build new housing. And what did Donald Trump do? He canceled the signing. So callous. He canceled it because he wanted to hold housing relief for American families hostage until Republicans passed a voter suppression bill. He said in his own words that a bill making homeownership more affordable for millions of people was, quote, of a minor importance. A bipartisan win for working families, ready for his signature, and Donald Trump threw it away for the purpose of politics. That's a president who will hold your family's housing costs hostage to chase a power grab. And remember, the three Republican candidates for governor have said time and again they will follow Trump's leadership, no matter the cost of Minnesotans. They can't think of one single policy that they disagree with Donald Trump on. Not one single policy. Really, Lisa Demuth, Mike Lindell, Kendall Qualls. Not one single policy do they disagree with Donald Trump on. Over the last year, Minnesota DFLers fought to protect health coverage and stop the worst of these cuts from hitting our state budget. We organized. We've shown up at town halls. We've made sure Minnesotans understand exactly what's in this bill and exactly who voted for it. And I'm really proud that Project True North has been countering the disinformation in real time every single day on every platform so the truth doesn't get buried. That's the difference between a party that governs for the ultra-wealthy billionaire class and a party that shows up for its neighbors. Minnesota has never waited for Washington to fix things. We build the future ourselves. 1 year ago, they called it beautiful. It wasn't. It was a betrayal to seniors losing health coverage, to moms and dads struggling to pay for groceries, and to all of us who just watched a housing bill get canceled out of spite. We're not going to forget about the continuous betrayals. And in November, Minnesotans are going to have something to say about it when we vote Trump's rubber stamping Republicans out of office. We are going to flip Congress, and we're going to do it by flipping seats here in Minnesota. And just this morning, Trump bragged, quote, "I am profiting." What has changed since January of 2025 when Donald Trump took office? His net worth has increased by $2 billion. That is corruption. That is fraud on the American people. And we at the DFL will make sure that every voter remembers that in November of this year. Now for today's action, I want everyone on this call to thank a DFLer who has stood up against the big, beautiful betrayal for them. Find an elected leader or a candidate at dfl.org/endorse. Find your local unit leader or find a friend that you volunteer with. I want you to personally thank them. Literally call their office or write an email, send them a text, but thank them for doing their part to keep healthcare, grocery prices, and housing costs from increasing even further because of Republican leadership in Washington. This work can be hard, especially right now when success means stopping the harms more than advancing a win, and the work is often thankless. So thank somebody that you see doing this work each and every day. Your personal thank you can give our neighbors and allies a spark of energy that we all need over the next 127 days. All right, folks, that's it. We have 127 days until the November 3rd midterm election. We're building this effort together. Thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow at 10:45. Let's go win this thing.